Greetings, Troma fans, and welcome to Flesh Wound Horror. I'm Flesh Wound Dan, joined by the first superhero from Los Angeles, producer Todd.
Okay.
There you go. Are there any superheroes? That's interesting. Are there any that actually specifically come from California?
Just easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he had a cape or anything, though. We know what his kryptonite was. Sorry, Todd.
That's okay.
I had it in my brain and I had to do it. I'm sorry. I don't think there's. Oh wait, Peter Parker. They don't. Not California for Spider-Man, is it?
No, that's fucking in the East Coast. He swings from fucking those buildings and shit.
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
Don't you remember they had to
Nah.
alter the first Spider-Man trailer because he shoots his webs between the
Yeah.
towers?
The towers. Yeah. You're right. You're right. I was like, most of them are either made up cities because I can't think of any that are like from Los Angeles. There's some comic geek that'll see this at some point and they'll like probably have 50 examples. What do I know? But yes, for now, producer Todd. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's producer Todd. How are you doing tonight, Todd?
I was fine before. I don't know where the hell what just happened there.
I don't know. Things just come into my head and I say them. That's just how I am.
For the record, his kryptonite was women. You cocksucker.
I was going with the.
I know what you were going with, but the only way I'm allowing it is the way I did it.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, we got a couple Troma reviews for you tonight. We haven't had an actual review in a while, so but we have had very ambitious. A lot have said that we wouldn't be able to do it, that there's not enough. As our Troma 50th anniversary 365 countdown. So you get a short on the channel every day, just highlighting a Troma film, or in some cases, a piece of Troma memorabilia each day.
Or a toy, or
yes, or any Tromets that Todd has locked up in his crawl space. You never know. You never know what you're going to get. But yeah, daily. So check out those shorts. They're a minute. That doesn't mean we're not going to review stuff. This is a review show, of course. So we're going to, go a little more in depth on the movies. So yeah, check those out. It's interesting seeing the ones that people embrace or don't embrace in some cases, but there's a lot more than you think. We haven't even done Fatty Drives the Bus yet, or Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell, Stuff Stephanie in the Incinerator, the hardest one to actually say. A lot of great Troma titles out there. All right, so speaking of which, tonight we'll get right into it with our first film, which is a 1998 vampire film from Troma and director Brian Evans, Tainted. And Tainted, film geeks are on their way to a must-see midnight movie. On the way, they get sidetracked and stumble onto an unscrupulous vampire's plot to taint the local hospital's blood supply with undead hemoglobin. Blood-soaked mayhem ensues. So Tainted, which you can actually get on the one of the Troma Triple B header DVD releases. No Blu-ray as of now, but you never know. Maybe Vinegar Syndrome will put it out at some point.
And it is streaming on Troma now, and I believe Tubi.
Did this ever have a single release? I should have checked this before, but I was like,
it did, but only on VHS. There was not a single release on DVD. But Dan, why don't you tell us more about it?
So this one was shot in Detroit, local. In fact, a lot of cool local Detroit stuff that I'll talk about. But this is essentially Clerks with vampires. Is the tone on this one? Clerks, of course. You're talking 1998. Well, 98 into the early 2000s. Like if you went into any teenager or young 20-somethings house, room, whatever, they had Clerks, Pulp Fiction, or a Boondock Saints poster. Boondock
Or all three.
Well, it was
And I'm
just
gonna
yeah.
go with this director had all three.
The director definitely had all three. Uh,
I
very.
ac I
Oh,
was
go.
gonna say I actually think it's a bit misleading, but it's the same way I referred it. It's like a vampire Clerks movie. I think it's
Mhm.
really only that because we're set in a video store because that dialogue is all mimicking Tarantino more than Kevin Smith.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you have the snarky
Oh no,
clerk
it's
at the
definitely
video store.
both. But the
Yeah.
dialogue, if you listen to it, it's way more Tarantino trying to be cool than it is Clerks.
Well, and it's more Tarantino too, because this movie is not just a comedy. I mean, it does get serious. Very 90s, if you're a 90s kid. I mean, it opens with the fucking Sarah McLachlan quote. So
Yeah.
it advertises its 90s, its 90s pretty early on. I popped in the Video Hound store and the cameo from the Golden Retriever, Video Hound's Golden Retriever book
Mm.
everywhere, which I pick that up every year. And I learned because of this movie, it was discontinued after 2021. No more. I remember picking that up every year, and I was sad to hear that you could no longer get it.
But what was the last year you bought it?
It's been a while, but I probably stuck in until like 2014 or
I was gonna
so
say
out
till
of
the internet and you realize I don't know why I'm still buying this.
no after. I mean, I still the problem that I finally got with that is like when you have that many of them, that takes up like 3 shelves probably of just
Yeah.
golden. Yeah, but yeah, the 90s nostalgia is strong with this movie. I really appreciated that. It's low budget. It's better made though than I remembered. I probably haven't watched this since roughly 98 or whenever the DVD dropped. It's very familiar. I think it was probably more unique at the time, but 98, that period, we had a lot of like modern vampire movies, which usually do nothing for me. And I'm going to say it was the 90s nostalgia more than the actual vampire storyline here that worked for me. But 98, we had modern vampires with Casper Van Dien. And it's funny because they're in the video store and this girl comes in and wants to get his opinion on Naja. I don't know if you remember the art house vampire flick Naja,
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that. That, the addiction, different things like that. I mean, I've always been very 50-50 on any modern vampire stuff. So the vampire elements in this movie didn't do a lot for me. You have the vampire bar and a lot of stuff that maybe wasn't that tired in 98, but now I could see somebody watching this now might have some issues with it. But um, you made the Tarantino comparison, and I see that, but like there's some very dead on Kevin Smith dialogue, like the rant on monogamy in the car, like that's a Jason Lee.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, that's a
Well,
Jason Lee monologue all the way. So
but I mean,
uh
overall, I think it's more Tarantino dialogue than that, but there's definitely
yeah,
some
yeah.
key spots. I mean, it's obviously both, but the general tone I got was that dialogue. Although I will say, fake Randall's definitely more annoying than regular Randall. I don't know if it's the ginger dead inside part, but
I did laugh when the guy answers and he's just like, "Welcome to Video Zone. Batman and Robin sucks. How can we help you?" Because which was out that year, I believe. That was 98, I think. 97, 98. Might have been 97. I think it was 98. So
there's Pugs when we need him.
I had so much fun just like looking around the video store when they were roaming.
Oh yeah,
So
that's always.
that's I thought of you working in the video store when the guy comes in. It's like, do you have any videos where people get tied up?
Only under the counter one, sir.
Only in my private collection. What was the weirdest like request you ever got? Like somebody coming in and asking you, like, do you remember like the most outlandish thing somebody ever asked you about a movie or whatever?
I remember channeling my inner Randall when someone asked me, they're like, "Oh, do I have a VHS tape somewhere?" I do actually. Like, "Oh, what's this about?" And I'd be like, "Oh, if you turn it around, it tells you on the back of the box."
Did you ever get it like, well, fuck you then?
No, but I was like, that might have been the line. But it was a woman. They didn't say anything. There's always the guys. I don't know. Do you want me to tell you about the type of customer? Maybe I shouldn't.
Go for it. You got to now.
There was this, and anyone who works in a video store that rented porn will know this customer. There was two kinds. There was either the old man who'd like show up, rent porn, and then like bring it back in like an hour. So like his wife like went to the grocery store or something that day and he squeezed one out. Or then there was the dude who'd come and rent the gay porn and bring it back in an hour also. I'm assuming that was just so his wife didn't catch him. So those are the two normal porn renters.
Did you ever have to like you have these late fees on Butt Blasters 7? Just start talking really loud. There were no late fees. Todd was pocketing all of that. Dude just threw a 20 at you and ran out the door.
To tell you, like, I would literally be like, if you came with me and like, hey, if I was in a good mood and you were being an asshole, I'd forgive late fees. I didn't give a shit. Like, F5 done. Pretty girl, I got you. But now if you come at me and are hot, and I'll be like, no, you can't rent here anymore. Yeah, I was an asshole.
I like the picture that Ozzy worked with you and you knew him back then.
That would be epic. Oh, you know the best part?
What?
Never mind. And this is a let it go. Never mind.
Okay. Ozzy gets his hair caught in one of the rewind machines. Anyways, we'll talk about this movie a little bit more. So yeah, lots of 90s nostalgia. I don't know how this will play for a younger fan that doesn't remember the 90s at all. But yeah, I mean, it's better acted than I remembered. I mean, it's solidly made. I was engaged enough that I wasn't bored watching this. It's a little bit on the longer side. And there's kind of a tone shift where it kind of becomes a more serious vampire film in a way. Like I said, this isn't all yucks by any means. I did that one gay vampires rant on bisexuals. Like that was very Kevin Smith. So if you're an aficionado of Kevin Smith's work or Tarantino's, check this out and it might put a smile on your face. The actual like vampire stuff was probably a little more clever then than it is now at this point where we've just I get it. There's a vampire bar. That's where they drink their blood.
It's post True Blood, so it's a whole
pre True Blood.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Sorry.
Yeah.
True Blood.
We're post True Blood.
Yes. Thank you. And so thank you.
There you go. I knew what you meant.
Did you catch the line? Well, that was a very World Wrestling Federation.
Before the pandas fucked it up for us.
I just thought I was like, all right, now that definitely dates it.
But yeah, no, I mean there are moments, like I said, Alex and Adia, his former girlfriend, like, you know, most of that the drama works well. If you're like a big fan of vampire films, you might enjoy this. We don't get a lot of background on our villain, just the general sort of emo, you know, I want the world to feel my pain kind of guy. But overall, solid movie, heavy on the nostalgia. So I get. Oh, go ahead.
It's funny because I really liked this when it came out, and I know you were talking about how it looks better made. The VHS,
Look like shit.
yeah, it wasn't a very good transfer.
Yeah.
Versus the DVD, even if it is, I forget what they call the technology where it's 3 movies on one disc. We just
Mm.
call it a low bit rate, but they gave it some magic name. But even at that, and I watched it on Troma now also, it looks very like a movie now.
Yeah. I think there's a lot on Troma now, and you'd know better than me, but I think there's a lot that looks better than any physical media release that Troma's done of the actual film. So that's a
Yeah,
reason you might want Troma now.
it's only $5. They get a lot of
Yeah.
other stuff too. But yeah, like and they're getting a 4K this year. A lot of the Vinegar Syndrome like 4K masters are coming too, and the Toxic Avengers are coming. So
There you
I'm
go.
excited for that. Hopefully, we get Terra Firma in 4K.
I would like Terra Firma. That would be a good 4K. Maybe Vinegar Syndrome. I don't know. Maybe Troma will do it themselves. So let's go ahead and rate it. I'm going to give this one a generous 3 because I do think the nostalgia factor worked for me, and it's well made. It's not the cheesy Troma flick. I know a lot of people out there think that Troma movies are all alike. They really aren't. So 3 stars for me. What say you, Todd?
This one like I have a big nostalgia with it. Like going back, I remember, and it watching it now, it brings up nostalgia of back then. So it's like double nostalgia. Like it works really well for me. Um, and I'm being extremely high on this, but I am a 4. I'm almost a 4.5, but I'm going to be reasonable. You know what? Screw it. It's Troma. It's their 50th. Happy 50th. It's a 4.5. It is one of my favorite pickups.
Okay, awesome.
So
There's a good chance you're going to really enjoy this movie.
and I do recognize the weaknesses, and I'm also not very modern vampires, except for the movie Modern Vampires. I really like. So go figure.
Yeah, there's more exceptions to the rule than I realize when I go down the list. But for me, like vampires, like Universal, Hammer Films, Gothic castles, like me just seeing a vampire like modern day underwear model that's walking out in the sun and like
Or
a lot of the shit that they do now, it's like this just kind of defeats the purpose. They're not interesting to me anymore.
yeah, or
Yeah,
give us something like Bordello of Blood. We'll take that too.
we'll take Bordello of Blood. We will take Cinemax vampires. Those are modern vampires. I can
Embrace
get
the Vampires, a classic. We'll have to.
that's a trilogy we got to do at some point.
Yes, I was thinking of the other one. I said that one, but I was thinking of the Alyssa Milano one. They got a remake. Which one's that? Embrace of the Vampire.
Embrace of the Vampire. Yes,
Well,
yes,
it's very, very close. Okay.
yes.
So
Little
Tainted.
Who's the Boss finger action. All right. Moving on. You cringed there a little bit. It's like I watched Who's the Boss.
No. I was gonna make another Who's the Boss joke, but it's yeah.
All right. So our next film is from 1984 and director Rufus Butler Cedar, and it is Screamplay, which follows a detective who is investigating a series of murders, discovers that they are similar to the slangs that occur in the new script of a wannabe Hollywood screenwriter named Edgar Allan. All right, so Screamplay, some Hollywood Troma here. So Screamplay is kind of an homage to silent era horror films, the German expressionist films. And before I get too deep into the movie itself, I will throw out there we have in this film Gary Kuchar, who was a huge underground film scene director, started in the 1950s. He was good buddies with John Waters, and he was known for like The Devil's Cleavage and a ton of short films, if you're unfamiliar with his name. He was also the star and writer of Thundercrack, which Synapse put on Blu-ray years ago. That's a very bizarre cult oddity if you're a fan of stuff like The Forbidden Zone or Rocky Horror Picture Show. Thundercrack's a weird one. So we have him. We also have James Conner, who kind of went on to be a somewhat notable character actor. He played Pat Buchanan, of all people, in Watchmen. He was in About Schmidt and a bunch of big movies. Future World, actually, before this. So those are some familiar names. One and done director with Rufus Butler Cedar. And this one's interesting because this movie really doesn't get any coverage. Like it's very rarely talked about. But it is another unique Troma pickup, I think, that deserved to be highlighted. Again, probably a very particular audience for this. If you don't get what they're paying homage to, you might not get a whole lot out of it. But if you like old school Hollywood and the films I mentioned, I think it is worth a watch. This one also very limited sets. I think it's like three like sets that they keep redressing and make the movie look a lot bigger than it is. This one's effectively a comedy, and I enjoyed it. I don't know that this one's going to be for everybody, but Todd, I think you probably enjoy this one. I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts.
I am. Even back when I first saw it, I mean, it's always been one that in this era when they were putting stuff out on tapes and I was grabbing them, this was one. It felt like just
the matte paintings in 1984 too. That was cool seeing.
And it's weird because it feels very experimental, even though it's like doing a style that we know, but doing it in 84 to me makes it experimental because it wasn't something that they were doing. And just with the, like you mentioned, the limited sets, I mean, just being able to make it, the scope feel like so much more than that.
Same 3 sets that they just had to redress. That's It's very impressive. I'm surprised. Like, you're hard pressed to find anybody that has seen this or can talk to you about it. Probably factored into being a one and done director, which is a shame because I think there was a lot of talent there, and I would have been curious to see what he might have done next. But I like films like this where it's like we're just for the most part, in this apartment complex, and you meet all the eccentric denizens of the complex, and we get the old starlet Nina Ray, the old oversexed starlet who's trying to seduce Edgar and basically anybody she can get her hands on. I like the line where she talks about how she fucked Karloff and then tries to essentially Weinstein Edgar in the tub. I thought that was kind of funny. There's a little bit of gore in this. I wouldn't call it a gory movie, but you get the motorcycle scene with the truck and the when the dead dog is thrown in the tub with Nina. I thought that was pretty funny, and I love dogs, but it was pretty funny the way they did that. And it's still a Troma film. Again, not in-house, but seeing there's some politically incorrect stuff. Our roller skating character in the bathroom, and I enjoyed it. I think this is a solid Hollywood satire and visually quite interesting. Again, what you can do with an old school matte painting and just redressing three sets like they did to make it look so big. I had a lot of fun with it.
That's what I love. Like, this show in particular is a good example of what I love about Troma, because we got 2 totally different films coming out around the same time for Troma, at least, on physical tapes and stuff. But it's like always something different. You never knew exactly what you're going to get. Even with Full Moon, you kind of knew what you're going to get every time. With Troma, with all the pickups, because everything wasn't in house, it was all, you never knew, and so it was fun trying to find something that you really liked, and both of these just hit it for me.
Yeah, I think these were two good ones to highlight because it really shows Troma. It's not all dick and fart jokes. It really isn't. There's a lot more to Troma, and I think the image that people have of it is it's projectile shit and ball sacks, and it is that. It is that, but it's a lot more. It's not always dicks, fart jokes, and ball sacks. So here you go. There's two.
Sometimes you get all three. Shakespeare's shitstorm looking at you.
Absolutely. So check these out. I think they're both cult films that deserve to be seen at least once. And yeah, see what you think. So Todd, what do you give Screamplay?
I do really like this. I hate feeling I give everything a 4, but this one is a 4 for me.
I'm gonna go a little bit higher, 3.5, because I do think this stands out because it is so unique. I think the audience, though, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's gonna be smaller for this than even Tainted. So
yeah,
you got to look into it and see, does this oddball black and white Hollywood satire appeal to you? But yeah, so there you go. 2 unique Troma films. We'll have more coming your way once again every single day. You get
every
Troma
GD day.
And I'm not saying when we get into like 365, they may not all be like you must go see this.
Yeah, they're not all recommendations. We're highlighting a film a day.
But so far we've had a lot of good ones. So yeah, I've been inspired because I have gaps in Troma. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna grab some of the stuff I don't have. And 50th anniversary, one of the last truly independent companies out there, independent film companies out there. So yeah, whether you're a streamer or you still buy physical media, support Troma because it'll be a sad day if they ever went away. So keep supporting them.
And we don't have to do it again, Dan, until 2039, and then we can do Full Moon 365.
We're gonna have AI Cyborg Lloyd Kaufman just raging against all of the future fast food chains. Here's a thumb drive Big Mac, just yum. Anyways, as long as we have sex bots, Todd. On that note, we will see you back here next time for more Troma. Good night for now, and come again, as we say on After Dark.
Stay traumatized. There you go. Good evening.